here in New York City at the Cell Theater, across the street from the Tribeca Film Festival, where the movie Champs just had its world premiere. And I'm so pleased to be joined by two former heavyweights, Tyson and Evander Holyfield, and also the director of the movie, Bert. Mike, I'll just start with you. Why make this movie?
Hey, listen, I really believe deep down in my heart this movie was just so informative from a humanitarian perspective, for people could just actually see what was the likes and don't likes, and what the inside of the mind of a fighter, and what they had to endure to accomplish the heights that they accomplished, especially when they reached the zenith of, forget champion, but like megastar, a super champion. And man, that it's just not easy. It's a lot of self-torture. Self-torture, getting up every morning, no clock, nobody waking you up, running. Even no matter if you're hurt, you have to run and fight. And you think about yourself, if you got a hurt hand, or you got a hurt shoulder, you got a flu, you got a cold. Wow, if I miss this tournament, I'll miss my opportunity to accomplish my goal. So you go even, yes, in dire need, you just go and fight. My whole life consisted of just being champion of the world and making multi-million-dollar paydays and having all the women I want in big planes and cars. And actually, when they were showing the movie, those were my planes. That was all my stuff they were showing, And I was saying, golly, and I never really actually realized it till I first saw the movie and the raw cut of it, and I was like, wow, did I actually do that stuff? When you look at it now, when you first saw it, you look where Evander came from in this real rural place, and you look where I came from in this very desolate, hope-stricken place in Brownsville, Brooklyn. How does a guy get from there, those places, to get there? Now that's the remedy. That's what should be taught. How does that happen? I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you really how that happened, and I just think God had a lot to do with it, and we've been fortunate to be one of the chosen to be able to do that. And I was just wanted it to get out there, and I just wanted people to put some of their insight in it as well.
Evander, what did you hope that people took away from the movie?
Well, there are chances, and I was fortunate to have a good mama. And you don't choose your parents, but I had a mother who didn't quit, and just as my nickname is the real deal, but my mama really was the real deal, because I would have been just like everybody else that stayed in my neighborhood if it wasn't for my mother, and she had a heart attack at the time I was a kid, so she was there, so she made sure I did everything on time. And a big pet peeve, good attitude, and I had to do it with a smile.
And you still are. Bert, I would say that there's a lot of reasons why people are drawn to boxing. Why are you?
I mean, just the struggle, the humanity, it's something I could never do. That's probably why, to be honest. It's something in a million years I could never do, but at the same time, I relate due to things that everyone goes through in their own life, and I found these guys to be such compassionate, honest people, and I think that's what the goal of the film was, to give an honest portrayal and make it something that's much more than a boxing movie. So it's not just your sports, your whatever kind of sports niche movie. I mean, these guys transcend the sport, and I think that's what's amazing. And seeing those highs, those lows, but also how now they're having such a dramatic effect on so many people. Sometimes I don't even think they realize. I think that's the special part. And I mean, they both just were amazing, and I'm in awe. So,
you guys are inextricably linked because of the two fights you had, because of the bite fight. Mike, if you were teaching the history of boxing, how would you describe the bite fight?
Being objective, I was saying these are two of the greatest fighters the history ever produced, and they're really not even at their prime, both of them. You know what I mean? All the adversity that he had before me and him fought, me coming out of prison, fighting, winning the championship back, and these are two guys that just made so much out of what little they had, and to accomplish so much. Because when you really think of the situation, he had just been beat by Bo, and he had really a tough fight with Bobby Chet that should have been a really easy fight. And then I came out of prison and I beat these three guys that he could have beat too, but they didn't give him a chance to fight him. And we fought, and it was just two guys with two wills wanting to fight each other, always wanted to fight one another, and we fought each other, and in that performance, I was an undisciplined soldier.
That fight was billed as good versus evil, and that's how the media set up the fight between you two. Evander, do you see anything that you have in common with Mike?
Of course, I have a lot in common
Big
with
time.
Mike. We both lived in the project with two different areas. My parents didn't have an education, but by me being the youngest of 9, my mother got a chance to see. She didn't give up. She could have said, they didn't come out right. They didn't come out right. I might well just forget about him, but my mother didn't. The things that they did wrong, she said, you don't need to do this, because first it was my mother had all girls and one boy, and my older brother she kind of like babied him, and she seen how he turned out to be, and my mother took a whole new route, and I was able to follow it, because if I didn't, she was gonna beat the daylights out of me, and I became who I am. And so, I understand that the good attitude that my mother, because my mother told me she was poor for me to be rich, and I was trying to figure how in the world do a person do that? And so, in other words, she said, if you don't do the things that I do, then you don't have to worry about breaking these habits. My mother couldn't hold her tongue. Anytime my mama got mad, that tongue gonna wag her, and like that. And she showed me that if you could control this, you can almost control anything. And that has been the charted road path that I went down. They gave me so many opportunities, because I messed up a lot, but because my mama say a good attitude gives you more chances, and here I am today.
Speaking of messing up a lot, your story, Mike, has changed so much over the last few years, but through this redemption, not a lot of it had to do with boxing. Now it seems like you are willing to go back to the sport. What's your relationship like with it now?
Hey, it's interesting that you may say that, because my interest in the sport is just basically to groom other fighters to realize that they don't have to wind up like me. Guys that admire me and want to be like, quote, be like me, and I promote them since I'm a promoter now. The objective is the fighter doesn't need a manager. If he wants a babysitter, people like babysitters. If you want, you can have one. But all you need is just a good lawyer. And that's what I stress to my fighters. That now when I say my fighters, I say the fighter that I promote, that works in my promotion, because the real actuality is that they're my boss. I work for them. And I assert that to them, that I work for them.
Clearly, changes need to be made in boxing going forward. There's no union, there's no centralized ruling body, there's no laws, and even the laws that are on the books aren't enforced. Bert, what do you hope the film does for those causes?
Well, I mean, all it can do is just shed light on it and create a much greater conversation. And I think for the people that are in the sport and are getting in the sport, hopefully it provides, real lessons and education, and also an awareness, most importantly. And hopefully, what the two of them are doing right now, it's spearheading kind of hopefully a change in the right direction to, resurrect, and for the people that do get into the sport, do it right and do it with the right people.
Why are boxers so bad with money?
Well, they never had it before.
Yeah.
In all actuality, when you really think about it, it's not necessarily boxers. See, boxers they just make so much, and they squander so much, so they point the emphasis at boxers. But if you think about it, at the turn of the century, let's say the Gilded Age, let's say the 1870s, when Rockefeller and all these robber barons were around, there was just a whole bunch of them. When you think about it now, you think about the robber baron families, and you see their name, like Carnegie and these guys, it's just a handful. They didn't know how to manage money either. It's an art how to manage money, and not all of us possess it. And that has nothing to do with boxing. That's just the fact that most kids that come in hand with all this massive money, we come from non-educated families, we come from low-income housing, and our goal is to be on television, to be successful. we know how to become successful and famous, but no one ever teaches us how to manage our money. You know, I come from, it's so interesting that he said his mother wasn't, my mother was a college graduate, my brother's a doctor, and my mother was a bad mother, real bad mother. His mother wasn't an educated one, but she was a beautiful woman. She was really, she took care of her children. My mother, we were always, we weren't protected, we were molested, and just that, so my mother was educated, so that don't mean that you have to be an educated person to get it right. You know what I mean? It all comes with your intentions. And his mother had great intentions. And my mother just, my mother was a party girl. You know, she hung out, she squandered a lot of money, she got into the life, and I took after my mother.
How's your sobriety?
My sobriety's pretty good, and it's not gonna be easy with me. You know, this is not gonna be easy. My sobriety's not gonna be easy. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, hey, everything's great, and I'm gonna be great from now on. But the fact is that this is not gonna happen overnight. I was one of those guys that were born an addict. I wasn't a guy that all of a sudden I started hanging out and drinking with my friends and I couldn't stop. This is just who I am. You know, and like I said, I don't forget my past and I don't wish to close the door on it. But who I am has allowed me to become who I am now. You know, I'm fiercely competitive, and I just want to accomplish good things now. I'm always at service, and I'm just really conscious of who I am. And there's no facades about me. You know, everything you see about me is really what it is. You know, and it's very difficult even to live a life like that. You know, I'm just very grateful that I developed living skills, better living skills than I have now. Because if I didn't, I'd be one of those guys. I would have AIDS. I'd be in a wheelchair. I would just be disastrous. Because that's how I live. I don't stop doing things till I'm dead or till. And I'm just really grateful. I have a great support team. My wife, my children, and man, if I didn't have that, I just don't know where. I would be in a real bad place right now. A really bad place.
Well, congratulations
Thank
on the
you
movie.
very
Mike
much.
Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Bert Marcus. The movie is called Champs. It's at the Tribeca Film Festival now. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.